Shaggy.
How are you? Hope you're fine. This is the Shaggy Show.
Okay, where you go?
Why have I got horns?
Oh no.
Oh, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
Oh, there's gonna be some drama ahead.
All I wanted was a pie, and then I hatched out of an egg.
Okay, bring the mic over. He's ready to record.
Is it metaphorical? Is it deep?
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Boy, he's not all that shy, is right.
You're such a wimp.
Blimey, Governor, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
Oh my goodness.
Hello,
Quack, quack, quack.
I don't know how he does it. Excellent.
737.
Bonjour et bienvenue au podcast de Hello.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Shy Life Podcast with me, Paul the Shy Yeti. How are you doing? Oh, I'm okay. So what's this episode going to be about? Well, a couple of things, actually. We've got, all manner of guests. It's almost like a Chatterbox episode, but it's not. First up, well, we're going to be kind of chopping and changing between the two main recordings this episode. But first up, there will be Martin Holmes, and we'll be being grumpy and moaning about things. Yeah, we've been doing quite a lot of those recordings, but I haven't necessarily had the time to put a lot of them out. So this recording, I think, is going to be from last year. The other segment we've got this episode is with Troby and Lisa, and they're going to introduce us to another episode of 321, which you may remember we did on an episode of Chatterbox, and it was very weird. This is an actual TV program, 321, from years ago. Anyway, Troby will probably explain more. Anyway, I don't think there's much need for me otherwise, because all the hard work's been done. So let's run the theme music, and when we come back, we'll go straight into some grumbling with Martin. All right. But as I say, I might mix it all up a bit. So you get a bit of Martin, a bit of Troby and Lisa, a bit of Martin, a bit of Troby and Lisa, etc. Sorry, I've been waffling too long. All right, run that theme music.
Darling, it's the Shy Life Podcast.
My favorite person is here.
Keep it rolling, keep it rolling.
Yeah, but it's a positive thing, though. The highlight, the Shy Life.
I'll go anywhere for a potato.
Delicious. Hello, captors. How are you?
Go Shy Yeti.
Oh, I hope he hasn't found out my secret. If he has.
I love the Yeti test. It's my favorite thing.
If you thought that was bad, just listen to this.
Yeah, I'm strangely drawn to Yeti Uncle John's ankles as well.
I could eat my body weight in crisps.
Has anyone seen my hot sausage?
It's all gooey and meaty. Yum, 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 yum.
It was enormous.
I don't think I'm ready to speak about it.
Here comes the grizzly.
It's the Shy Life Podcast.
I can't wait for it to begin.
That's right, I'm just being an alien.
I'd like that.
Hi there.
Marvelous, Paul.
In fact, no, nothing about anything.
Hey Martin, how are you doing?
How am I? Well, I'm on the brink of having a relatively full set of teeth again. So that's good. Not yet, but it's soon. It's soon. So the and all the strange whistling noises you may have been hearing over the last few months will finally go, and I'll be able to present myself in public again without feeling that I am ashamed and have a bag over my head. So that'll be an interesting new development.
You'll be glad to know.
Life.
Well, you'll be glad to know. I'm calling you up to have a grumble about things.
A grumble. Oh, we do the grumbles very well.
Yeah.
I know I have a reputation with other. I suspect I'm the common denominator here. I've just realised. I get told I sound a bit like I'm moaning when I'm talking to Warren sometimes, and now we're doing specifically grumbling and moaning based episodes, and I'm starting to think, hold on, what's the common factor here? And I always think I'm a cheery, affable soul.
Well, you mentioned teeth. We do have I don't think we better get started though. But dentist is one of the suggestions. But I don't know. Do you want to rant about dentists?
I've had an interesting experience because I'm this replacement. Tooth. Well, it's not a replacement because it's not a real tooth. Obviously, it's not like it's ripped out of somebody's head and shoved into mine. It's been a 7-month process since that delightful Benedictine biscuit took my tooth in January. It's been a good 7-month journey. The thing that fascinates me is, the good thing about this is, of course, that we were lucky in the sense that we were able to explore options and all that kind of thing. But my dentist is the least talkative dentist I've ever known. And I know that when you're talking to the dentist and they always, if they ask you about your holidays and something, like you go, I get that. But he's a weird one in the sense he doesn't explain what he's doing. So he'll just say, come in, sit down, I'll put the chair back, and you say open, and he'll say open wide, and he's talking about my mouth, thank God, and he'll suddenly just ram some sort of plastic structure with cement in it or something into my mouth, and then leave it there for 10 minutes, and nobody says a word to me. It's like, you'll have to wait. Nobody says you'll have to wait for 10 minutes, or I'm just going to do this, or anything. He just does it. And I think it's on the assumption that before this process started, there were many, many pages of notes I was supposed to read, and I suspect he just thinks I read, learned, and inwardly digested all those notes, so I don't have any questions. The fascinating thing for me was when he was doing the operation which, not to go into too much detail, he had to sort of cut into my gums. And my mouth was, the horrible thing. But again, not a word. And at one point, it was like, I felt at one point I was lying under this sheet. And I really genuinely felt like I was the corpse in the morgue while they all got on with their business around them. And I don't know whether that's just his technique or whether he just thinks it's irrelevant to say. But you know that thing where you get at least the vaguest running commentary, I'm just going to do this. You'll have to wait for this for 2 minutes. Can you hold that? None of that. So I'm just lying there while stuff happens and nobody says, are you all right, Mr. Holmes? Or anything like that. It's just nothing. And then at the end of it, they say, right, come back in 3 weeks. Oh, thank you very much. Bye. A very odd situation. Dentists, though, I don't know. It's an odd. I always think it must be an odd thing to go into. I mean, I know people become doctors because they want to help people, and dentistry is a subset of that. But for some reason, the reputation is that this is the people who wanted to inflict pain on people, and they found their place in society, and they still get to drive big, expensive cars because of it. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I've got a filling that's fallen out, but there's no, it's all dead underneath because I think of something that a dentist did years ago. I think they caused the problem years ago. And
that old trick, yes. That's the thing. You never know what you're going to get. There are some really bad ones out there. There was one, apparently a few years ago, who was prosecuted in the end, but somewhere in Manchester, I think it was. And he, or she, I don't know much of the details, but basically did so much damage to most of their clients over the course of several years that it was actually quite frightening that they got away with it. And yet, people just thought that, because we don't know anything about it, so you just think it's normal. You go along, you have all your stuff done, you walk away, you don't really sort of think, do you think they did that right? It's a really odd situation that you're in.
I kind of said, I don't really want any extra expenditure at the moment, and I sort of said, can we just leave it for now? It's not called, because it's right at the end of my bottom set of teeth. she said, well, as long as you brush it and things don't get stuck inside it, I can leave it for a bit. We can leave it for a bit longer.
Yeah, I've got a tooth on the that's. It's obviously since all this other stuff happened. I've also got a filling at the back, which I'm less concerned about because it is at the back, and I can. There are that thing where you sort of go, well, yeah, the bit I present to the world, I need to have dealt with properly. But the bit that there's a few bits off at the side, I can probably live with if it's a bit duff. But I had a filling fallout in I think it was February, about a week before I was due to go for a normal checkup, and I went back and they put a new filling in, and it lasted about 3 weeks. And I went back for an emergency appointment because of this, because it was raw, it was open to the universe, as it were, and they sent me to the hygienist. The hygienist, bless her. She said, well, I'm not just a hygienist, I'm a qualified dentist. Okay, that's fine. I can put you in a temporary one. Okay. So puts in this temporary one, tells me all about how she put a temporary one in for her brother on the kitchen table at home. Right? And that's still there 5 years later. So I'm thinking, oh, well, I might have dodged a bullet here. I've got this temporary filling that'll be here for 5 years. And I swear to God, 32 hours later, I was eating a sandwich and out it popped again. I thought, this tooth's going. This is, And then I had to get another emergency appointment, and my own dentist did a job on it, and that again, it's kind of not quite right because I don't think there's enough left really, but they're all resisting ripping it out. If you see what I mean.
Now I've got a few subjects I don't think we will cover. I'll read you a few we won't cover, unless you really want to.
Well, yes, okay. Give me a couple of seconds after each one, and I'll go.
Yeah. We've got back hair.
God, right?
Hairy toes.
Right.
But, we've got
body hair generally. Don't get me wrong. I'm of a, again, I hesitate to say this, but I'm of a generation. I'm amazed now at how much male body sculpture and body treatments have come into society. In the same way, I'm often amazed by the ubiquity of tattoos as well. It's kind of like how my better half always says, we know whenever an advert comes on the telly and it's for a male grooming product, she says, now you've got the same anxieties that we've had all our lives. You see what I mean? They've started making men just as wound up about their whether they've got sort of the wrong sort of hair, or the hair in the wrong sort of places, or they've got they're too pale, or it's amazing how the cosmetics industry, instead of saying we're not going to objectify women anymore, basically decided to objectify all of us, and how many kids especially seem to buy into this. A lot of it's because of selfies, a lot of it's because how they are presented, obviously the filters and everything like that. It's amazing to me. There was someone was telling me a few months ago that their son was desperate to reach his 16th birthday so he could start going to the gym to buff himself up. And it's kind of like, because he had to be 16. He had to be 16 before he would be. And literally on his 16th birthday, the first thing he did was go to a gym and sign up. And because body image has become such an important factor for a generation now, or several generations, I suppose. But it seems to have become almost like the prime thing. And I think it's kind of terrifying because society is full of people of all shapes and sizes and all sorts of wonderful human bodies of all sort of forms, and somehow we're trying to push everybody to this ideal, and I'm not convinced that's necessarily good. However, I'm sure it works well for the porn industry, whatever side of the appeal thing goes for you. I mean, I'm amazed actually about the number of people who seem to be quite prepared to pay for processors to have all their body hair torn off. Again, I suspect that is possibly a generational thing, because let's face it, I'm a hairy old bugger, hairy old northerner, hairy old Welshman in part with my genetics, and I kind of think, you're gonna have to live with that, mate. You're gonna have to live with that.
Well, I think the same. And if anyone said that was a problem, then bye bye. That's the door over there. I don't understand that you would
It's the person.
I would never say that to somebody, and if somebody said that to me, that would instantly be a sort of, okay, you're not the person I thought you were.
Swipe left. No, I don't know. I mean, it's fascinating because, you know, we kind of all... it's always been that thing, hasn't it? No, it's the person inside that counts, and you know, I'd rather be able to have a proper conversation with somebody than I blame a lot of things like Love Island for this kind of nonsense. You know, people prancing around in their pants and trying to be perfect all the time, and we are not, and none of us can be, and you know, there is just this sort of abstract, well, it's not abstract, is it, but it's an ideal that's been set up by society that just somehow, I don't know, I think we're doing psychological damage to people.
And I'm not saying that I've got hordes of screaming fans as I am at my age now, but
for your mind, Paul, for your mind.
But for every person who would say, oh, I don't like you because of that, there were definitely plenty of people who like you because you're a certain way. So
well, it's easy for me. Nobody likes me at all. So it's
just meet the person who likes the hairy Yeti, and the person who doesn't like the hairy Yeti can go out with the non-hairy Yeti.
The bald Yeti society. Yes.
Yeah. So it's just you don't have to change yourself. You can just wait to the right.
I think I've got to an age where I actually don't. It's terrible to say this because you always said when you were growing up that that thing where people suddenly what they wore all came from the Army and Navy stores, and it's like or the little old ladies always wore incredible hats and coats that you couldn't imagine anybody would pick off a shelf, but suddenly they've decided, oh, that's a nice coat or that's a nice hat, and you just kind of wonder, do you get to a point where you don't give a stuff? I mean, I still do give a stuff. I mean, I don't. I mean, I'm not. Let's face it. I don't go out much, so I don't have to be anything less than the squalid person I am. But I don't necessarily have to go out of my way to be likable either, and I don't feel that I am a liked person. That's by the by. I get on with people in doing the things I do. But I don't really, if somebody is an arse, I'm not going to go out my way to pretend to like them. And just because of, they drive a car or they've got a flash suit or whatever, that don't impress me much as the pop tune goeth. But no, I just think, oh God, we are who we are, and as I was saying to you before off air, I'm impressed by your ability to talk to complete strangers and get them to do your show. I'm amazed by that skill in actually building networks and friendships with people and actually saying, would you like to do? I cannot do that. The difficulty I have with my show is sometimes I'm so racked with fear and shyness. I can't imagine having some of the conversation. I even listen back sometimes to some of the old shows and think, how the hell did I do that? It's weird, but part of being a person, I think, is one, knowing that you are kind of imperfect, and I think wisdom comes with knowing that doesn't matter.
I think this year for me it's been, when I first started, I used to interview other podcasters from Point 48, and some of them didn't want to do it because, I don't know, if they thought they were too good to be interviewed by a fledgling podcaster, or they were too busy, or said they were too busy, or whatever. But this year has been the year of encouraging people who've never podcasted before to, if they're ever going to do just one podcast, do mine. My
difficulty is that sometimes I go off and listen to something by somebody I've not listened to before, and I always think, oh God, they sound like real radio people, or real they know what they're talking about, or they don't have that stammering, stuttering approach that I sometimes I manage to edit out of my show. Doesn't get edited out of yours as much, I notice, but that bit where you talk, you say that you lose the structure of the sentence, or you repeat words, or you go or and all that kind of thing. Those kinds of imperfections other people don't seem to do.
Oh, I do. Well, there's a lot of errors that come out of mine, even if there's some that remain. Sometimes there are ones that, like, for the sort of structure of the conversation, it works for the character to, because they would but it's the that come when you don't want them to be there.
You know, I did an edit once. I had a conversation. I can't remember who it was with, and that's not sort of protecting anybody. I literally can't remember. But the actual file was an hour and 20 minutes, and my show requires really between sort of 55 and 57 minutes with me topping and tailing, you know, to make it up to an hour for the radio. Which takes a surprising amount of time. People might not realise that it doesn't only take me an hour a week to do this. It's but the point is that the conversation that I was trying to get into this hour-long show was an hour and 20 minutes. And I started doing the edit, and I'm thinking all the way through the edit, oh, I've got to find a chunk I can take out and it'll still make sense. So I thought, well, I'll do a first pass and I'll take out all my ums and ers and whatever little bits that they may, the fluffs they may, or there may be a couple of moments where we sort of sit there and go, oh, who is the name of that person? Oh, I don't know, and everything like that. And taking out all my ers and ums, and when I go, so when I say, you know, and however many ands or however many repeated phrases, and I took it all out, and I thought, right, I'm going to have to find, and I sort of identified this 10-minute section I knew I could take out, and I went through it and I edited the hour and 20 minutes, and it came in at 57 minutes exactly. I actually managed to take out 23 minutes of nothing.
Yeah. No, I have the same thing sometimes. Yeah, because I like around an hour 20, hour 30. I do go beyond, but I don't have quite so much.
Well, there are tolerances, aren't there? I mean, there are some people who say you should never do a podcast more than 20 minutes. There are other people who say half an hour is the maximum you should do. There are others who think, no, it should be an hour. There are, I mean, again, with radio shows, I mean, on the radio station I'm on, they have half-hour shows, hour-long shows, and 2-hour shows. And when it was first mooted that I did this weekly nonsense that I stagger along with. You know, they said, well, do you want to do a 1-hour show or a 2-hour show? And I thought, there is absolutely no way I can do a 2-hour show. There have been shows I've done which I think, oh, this would be nice if I could have done a 2-hour show. But of course, the slot is an hour. And sometimes I think, well, maybe I could bolt 2 half-hours together. But that's weird as well. So I'm quite comfortable with the hour. And I sometimes find when I'm recording, I mean, like when I record with yourself, it is interesting to me that I run out of steam at about an hour. I can kind of now pitch the conversation right to just about make most conversations, not all, but most of them, be around about an hour. I usually allow a little bit of wiggle room for all those ers and ums and the bits where I lose my thread completely in the middle of a, what's those things? Oh, the bit between the capital letter and the full stop. In the middle of a sentence, I can suddenly drift off because an idea will strike me. Now, again, those real podcasters, those people who always sound like they know exactly what they're talking about and have a really, really good radio voice, not like me, but those people, I get so intimidated by it. Occasionally, there are suggestions that I attend events where I know there's going to be another podcaster also there, and it's like my brain just goes, "I'm not worthy." You know, the imposter syndrome. I get into this crushing ball of self-doubt. Don't make me do that.
A lot of them, I don't think, do their own editing though. So they have people who do their editing
there is
for them. Especially the celebrity ones, definitely do have some. A lot of film podcasts can tend to be sort of hour and a half, 2 hours or more. Well, especially some of the horror ones I listen to. The ones of mine that are particularly long tend to be ones that might be a diary episode, and I've done lots of short bits, and you don't know how long it's going to be until you put it all together, and you think, well, I could break it into 2, but because they are lots of short segments, they're also you can pause and go and do something else and come back.
Well, this is it. I mean, I had an old hand at this now, Paul, as you know. I mean, when we did the Flash Gordon podcast a couple of years ago, we probably kept those to around about 35 minutes on average. because the episodes themselves were about 20 minutes and we were doing a commentary, but there was also topping and tailing, and it came to about 35 minutes, and that was a nice little part. I enjoyed doing that. Various reasons we've not had time to go back and do any more of that sort of thing. But I think the occasional episode of the A to Z runs to 3 hours plus. If we really, really are enjoying, I mean, it doesn't happen often, but if we're really enjoying the subject matter. I think the funny thing about that is if the presenters, if the people talking about the subject are enthusiastic about it, the time, it doesn't feel like a chore. Where if someone said to you, we've got a 3.5 hour podcast for you, they go, what? But actually, if you're just listening to it and you don't realize that, I do occasionally get the impression, it's a very, very loose impression, it might only exist in my mind, that sometimes people are a bit, it would have been nice if you did another half hour on that show. But I don't think it's rare. I think the hour suits what I do.
Hello, listeners. We've got a bit of extra material for you now. It harks back to a recent chatterbox, or relatively recent chatterbox, where we had Toby and Lisa, and they were doing sort of, well, recreating episodes of 321 on the Charlotte podcast. Is that fair enough?
Well, I mean, we have a point about Archive TV, don't we, Lisa? In that so much of Archive TV is not on streaming, nor is it available officially on DVD, and not being shown on any channel thing. So 321 was shown for a while on Challenge, wasn't it? That's where we seem to have got most of our copies from.
Copies on YouTube, I hasten to add.
Yeah, which are now on YouTube.
We don't have them, personally.
I think we've got a couple on our hard drive, but they're from other sources. Yeah. Dodgy under-the-counter dealing in 321. You know how it is.
Yeah, what season is it?
But we're very much of the opinion that everything should be available all the time. Streaming is not the way forward on this, is it?
No.
I know you've said about this, Paul, that stuff just disappears. So YouTube is a good source of 321, and you find, Lisa, that it's a real comfort show, isn't it? You say you'll stick on a 321 of an evening and be quite happy.
Yes. Yeah. It reminds me of being a child. It was something I watched when I was sort of this one's from 1978, so I would have been 6, but I don't remember it from then. I remember it from the 80s, but it's a real comfort blanket of a show. So
when we did the chatterbox, you asked some questions, and as a group, at least some of us were completely bamboozled and fell into some sort of strange coma, but the rest of us kept on with it, and we actually didn't do too badly. So we this time though we've got myself and Cromitty. Say hello, Cromitty. Hello, guys.
Hello, my Cromitty.
And we've also got Yeti Uncle John. Hello, guys. Always good to be here.
Hello, Uncle John.
Hello, young boy.
Are you still looking at my ankles?
Last thing I think of at night, first thing that pops into my mind in the morning, isn't it, Lisa?
I'm going to do a 2025 calendar, especially for you. Well, not just for you, Obviously, I've got a league of fans who'll be interested.
We'll have to call you Yeti Ankle John.
Well, I'm looking forward to this the 321 business. Oh yes, me too.
Well, we're going to take you back in time to 1978.
Right.
Summer 1978.
Yes.
Britain was sweltering. Was it sweltering? I don't know.
No, that's
76, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, I hope we changed our underwear since 76.
Oh, I hope so.
But we travel back to 1978 in the company of Janice Long, don't we, Lisa?
You do. And her then husband, Trevor.
Janice Long and Trevor.
Yes.
Who had a beard.
Yes.
Had a green, wasn't he wearing green?
He was wearing a green top and she was wearing green jeans. So they sort of matched.
Back in 1978, that was enough to make you famous.
It was.
A beard and a green top.
They run a record shop at that point. So it's before she becomes a DJ.
It's before you'd have heard of Janice Long.
Yeah.
This is presumably her first appearance on mainstream media, I'm guessing.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know quite when she's known for her DJing, but yeah, this is early Janice Long period, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she and her husband get through to the final section after going through the quiz section.
Yeah.
And then having to was it throwing quoits? Was that the game?
Possibly, yeah. And landing in a basket or something.
Yeah, some balls in the middle.
Yeah.
But the way 3-2-1 worked in the early days, that if you won the quiz, you didn't go through to the next section.
No.
You were given a winner's sash and had to go and sit in the audience and watch the rest of the show. That was your prize.
Yeah. And then you keep going on until
then you come back next week. So
you didn't win the quiz.
Yeah. So there's this couple from. Are they from Romford?
They are from Romford.
They're up your way, aren't they? Yes. And they're having to make this journey to Yorkshire Television every week.
So I suspect they film more than one at a time.
So if you won the quiz, you'd come back next week, and they keep coming back next week. We're on episode.
It was on 3.
4.
Yes, the next one is 4.
The next one's episode 4, and the same couple keep coming back.
Yeah, so
that's really weird. They changed that later on.
Yes, after the first series.
Yeah.
I think they lost too much money.
But because Janice and Trevor don't win the quiz, they go through to the next section and eventually get through to the sketches. Now, is it fair to say that the sketches are not? They're hardly sketches.
No. It's because the quiz is 3 rounds.
There's not much time left to do anything else.
Sketches, so they're very short, sort of little bits with various people involved.
Yeah. Now these are in the days before Dusty Bin is motorised.
Yeah.
So he's literally just shoved on from the sideline.
Yeah.
He comes careering on and crashes into Ted.
Yeah, nearly knocking him over.
Yeah. Ted has a chauffeur, doesn't he?
Yeah, George.
Who is a lady, a lady chauffeur.
Yes.
And he has, was it 6 in episode 1?
I think it was 6 in episode 1.
6 ladies in glasses who are his gentle sex.
And they're his secretaries.
Sex, you see, because that sounds like sex.
Yes.
And they wear glasses. And now one of them is Mrs. Eddie Large, isn't it?
Yes. Well, she will be Mrs. Eddie Large.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not at this point.
Yeah.
Patsy Ann Scott.
Yeah. And is one of them a future Mrs. Boyce or?
No, that's Debbie Arnold.
That's Debbie Arnold. Oh, Debbie Arnold.
Dougie Brown and Chris Emmett.
And Chris Emmett are resident comedians. So you can already see that all these people. So there's what, Ted?
Yeah.
George.
Yeah.
6 secretaries.
Yeah.
And 3 comedians.
So there's 9 people.
So there's 9 people already who were already on the show before 6 more contestants. So we're talking the 29th of July, 1978.
Yes.
It's a Saturday. Number 1 in the charts is John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John with "You're the one that I want, you are the one I want."
But not like that.
But not like that. So yeah. And the only other exciting thing in the news that day is American Penny Dean swims the English Channel in a record 7 hours and 40 minutes. This record is held until 1995. Now, it's not clear whether Penny Dean was swimming to or from England, whether they were keen to get to see 3-2-1 and were in a hurry, or whether they were desperate to escape England to avoid seeing it. I'm not sure either way. But yes. So anyway, let's fast forward to the end of the of the actual episode, shall we?
The end of the episode.
Well, the clues section.
Yeah.
So we'll do the same format that we did before. So we'll read out 3 items and clues to what the prizes they represent. Then between you have to decide which one of these you will reject, and then we'll bring on another prize, and so on until we whittle it down to one prize, which is what you will get. One prize will be a dustbin.
Yeah.
One prize may be a car.
That is definitely a car.
It is all right.
There's a car in
they actually say that one prize is a car. Yeah. Later on in the show, it's not always a car, is it?
I can't afford it.
I can't always afford it. And the rest of it is fairly decent prizes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Janice Long might disagree at one point, but we'll go forward and see what you make of these. All right.
Yep.
So the first item that's brought on is a glass tumbler, a drinking glass.
Yes.
And this is brought on by Debbie Arn.
Yes.
So
who is a future Mrs. John Challis.
A future Mrs. John Challis, and she's basically a comedian, isn't she?
Yes.
And she reads out very bad jokes.
Yeah. As do they all.
As does it.
Yeah.
But she reads out a little rhyme, and it says, "Tanked up on 3-star, and how the captain's in the doghouse now." Now, we should point out that the theme of this episode is cruising, isn't it?
Or cruise ship.
Well, yeah, cruising makes it sound more exciting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So they've got a set.
Yeah, basic sort of rudimentary cruise ship. It's just basically a rail and some sort of portholes.
Yeah, a rail and portholes.
It's slightly better than the Crossroads set we saw recently, but yeah.
Oh, Meg in Crossroads has been on a cruise ship, hasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
And how did they represent that?
They represented that with painted porthole, 2 garden chairs, a table, and some fairy lights.
There's some fairy lights hanging from the ceiling.
And Alan Curtis for the War Machines.
Yeah. So. Okay, so I'll repeat that. Tanked up on 3-star, and how the captain's in the doghouse now. So any initial thoughts about what that could be as a prize? Just have a guess. Could
it be a year's supply of pet food?
I'm trying to think how you get that home from Yorkshire Television. I suppose they might deliver it.
Yeah.
Didn't we have a year's supply of fish last time? I presume the fish didn't all come at one time, so that probably got sent.
Oh yes, I forgot about the year's supply of fish. Yeah. Oh dear, no. Well, we'll see what that leads to. So, item number 2 is some scuba diving goggles.
Yes.
Isn't it? Mm-hmm. So this is brought on by Dougie Brown and a mermaid.
Yes.
Isn't it?
One of the gentle sets.
So one of the gentle sets. This is Tula, isn't it?
Tula, yeah.
So her name is only listed as Tula.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't appear as a gentle sec. What's the singular of gentle sex? As a gentle sec.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Beyond this episode.
No.
And there is a rather unfortunate reason for this, and we should mention.
Yeah.
Because Tula, of all the cast, of all these ladies, and is it fair to say, Lisa, that there's a bit of way crumpet about all these ladies?
Yeah. There's a bit of Ted being quite patronising.
Yeah, because they're ladies.
Because they're ladies.
And ladies are there to be leched.
And one of them's French.
And there's what's her name?
Mirelle.
Yeah. And she's very French, isn't she? And Ted.
It's fair to say he does sort of
leer. Does he leer and take the pee out of her accent as well?
Yeah.
But yeah, the mermaid is played by a lady called Tula.
Mm-hmm.
And she's only listed on IMDb for one other thing, which is a James Bond film, isn't it?
Yeah. A Roger Moore one.
Yeah. And the reason now, when you play 3, 2, 1 at this point, you get given also as a prize a photograph.
Yes.
Of Ted and his gentle set.
Well, you get a photo frame.
Yeah.
The photo in there to start with is a photo of Ted. but they're going to take a photo during the episode. Hopefully, when you're aware of it.
Yeah, you want to get a photo of yourself,
so you don't look a bit gormless.
Yeah.
You've got both.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the photo
the Ted photo is Ted and the Gentle Sex.
Yes.
And
in a park.
Yeah, hanging about in some park somewhere, like just round the back of Yorkshire Television. They must have taken. But yeah, although Tula is in the photograph you get given for the rest of the series, she doesn't appear beyond episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly, the rumour is that because a newspaper was going to out her and out her for being transgender. But Ted at no point makes any reference to this.
No, he treats her exactly the same as the others.
Yeah, Ted treats her exactly the same as any other bit of crumpet, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Which in some ways is actually quite progressive for 1978.
In some ways.
Because he's basically as leery over her as he is over the other lady.
So whether he didn't know or whether he accepted it, I don't know.
I think he accepted it. Because from episode 2, there's a little intro where Ted says Tula can't be with us tonight, and basically says get well soon, and covers it.
Yeah.
You know, is I guess, as good as fashion as you can. Now, I don't know what the newspaper is and, you know, the full story of this. But, you know, it's interesting that you were getting some transgender in 1978 and the papers weren't too happy about it. And you think, well, in some ways it's quite progressive, but in other ways, what's changed?
Nothing.
You know, so it's just it's a nice little snapshot of 1978. Anyway, moving on. So Dougie Brown and Tula, who is dressed as a mermaid, I should add that only Tula is dressed as a mermaid, not Dougie Brown.
No, he's dressed in scuba gear.
He carts her on. How tall is she? She's about 6 foot, isn't she?
Yeah. I'm not even sure he's 6 foot.
And Dougie Brown is nowhere near 6 foot. To be honest, it would have been actually better if she'd brought him on.
Yeah.
But the scuba diving goggles and the rhyme is: find your own gear, go for a sail, and search in the place of the fishy tail. Okay? So I will say now, this is not a year's supply of fish. It wasn't like you got a year's supply of fish every time. But have a think about it. You got any initial thoughts?
Younger John, what do you think? Well, I was wondering if it might be fishing equipment, you know, like block and tackle. Okay.
Block and tackle. That's for lifting up heavy weights. Are you expecting to catch a whale or something?
Yes, I think so.
You aim high when you go fishing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You've been watching Fishing with Jack Hargreaves.
I saw a tiny bit of Fishing with Jack Hargreaves.
Yeah, on a boat. Yeah.
Somewhere.
Did he catch anything?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
You didn't pay attention. Okay. Item number 3 is a hat. Is it a Panama hat?
I think it possibly is a Panama hat.
And it's brought on by Clive Dunn playing a randy old man, isn't he?
Having a lech.
Yeah, so he's chasing ladies around the ship.
Yes.
There he goes on about a MacGuffin, doesn't he? And a MacGuffin, Ted doesn't seem to understand what it is. Right. But isn't it something that Alfred Hitchcock used to refer to?
Yes, it's a red herring, I think, in Alfred Hitchcock films.
Yeah.
I believe. That's what Ted says, because later on, they call all of the clues MacGuffins. It's something they pick up on.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be that the director or the producer has said to Clive Dunn, call it a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're going to call them.
And everybody else has forgotten to say it, including Ted.
Yeah.
Possibly.
But he says somebody's bound to write in and tell you what a MacGuffin is. But yeah, the Panama hat has, although I'm slightly rusty, me motor's quite all right. I'm getting married in the morning. Should I stay out all night?
Okay. Any thoughts on what that could be?
I'm worried that might be the dusty bin.
Okay. Why do you think it might be that?
Well, rusty and staying out all night. Because often you put out the bins the night before if they're coming around early.
But what about getting married in the morning?
Oh, not sure about that, but I'm sure there's some where they could twist it, knowing VT1.
Right, so you've got the 3 prizes: the glass tumbler, the scuba diving goggles, or the Panama hat from Clive Dunn. So now's the point at which you have to reject one. And do you want to reject the tumbler, the scuba diving goggles, or the Panama hat? You can hear the clues again if you want, or just reject.
Well, Paul, I think Paul could be right about the Panama hat. What about you, Yeti Uncle John? Well, I mean, the other two definitely did seem more like actual things, and yeah, I'm suspicious of that one, Paul. Shall we? Yeah, okay. Let's reject the Panama hat, please.
So Clive Dunn's Panama hat. Although I'm slightly rusty, me motor's quite all right. Okay, so you've got the word motor in there.
Mm.
I'm getting married in the morning. Should I stay out all night? Well, a car would stay out all night if you left it in the garage, wouldn't it?
Mm.
But as you said, Paul, so would a bin. But the key phrase here is I'm getting married in the morning.
Yes.
Now, Lisa, that's a song, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm getting married in the morning.
Yes, it's a song from My Fair Lady.
Ding dong, the bells are going to chime.
Sung by Alfred Doolittle, who is a dustman.
Yeah. So I was going to say, Paul, who sang that? That was a character in My Fair Lady who was a dustman. So you were right. It was a dustbin. And here's Dusty Bin.
Exterminate.
They drag him on at this point.
So they drag him on. And inside Dusty Bin is a ceramic Dusty Bin, isn't there? And they give it to Janice Long, don't they?
Yeah.
And don't they keep it?
I think Ted's not supposed to.
They're not supposed to keep it, but somehow they get hold of it and don't give it up.
It just sits on the
and they
table.
take it home with them, don't they?
Yes.
And when they get separated, when they have their separation, I don't know when that is.
It says on Wikipedia it says they were divorced in 1982.
Yes, and in the settlement, her husband got the ceramic Dusty Bin.
I don't think they fought it.
And do you know how we know this? Because people asked Janice Long about this on Twitter.
Yeah, because it is mentioned on her Wikipedia page.
Janice Long gave a few secrets about the making of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, she didn't get to keep the Dusty Bin, unfortunately.
Whilst we're talking about the Wikipedia, she started being a DJ in 1979. And, of course, she's also the sister of Keith Chegwin.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've lost Clive Dunn's hat. So I'll just cross that off my list. I know not to do that again. There we go. Well, this pen doesn't work.
You get a pen that
I should get it to work. There we are. Maybe this works. Yes, that works. Okay, so Clive Dunn has been exterminated. Right, there we go. Okay, item number 4. Chris Emmett brings on a gigantic triangle, doesn't he?
Yes.
And it's one of those musical ones that you ding to get people to come to lunch or dinner on a ship, don't you?
I suppose so. I don't know.
He goes ding a ding a ding a ding a ding.
Yeah.
And Ted thinks it's the Bermuda Triangle, doesn't he?
He says it's the Bermuda Triangle. Yeah.
Ted is just
clutching at straws.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the thing for the triangle is, although a prize she thought she'd found, did he give her the runaround? Okay. Any thoughts on what that could be? Although a prize she thought she'd found, did he give her the runaround?
I kind of think of the word runaround as, when you get a little car just for a little runaround, maybe, just like a little mini car or something. I mean, not a mini car, not a tiny car. I know what you mean, Cromarty. So I mean, it could be a car. It could be the car.
Around the late 70s, I would say that runaround makes me think of Mike Reid, doesn't it, Lisa?
Yeah.
The Southern Game Show.
I don't think
a year supply of Mike Reid, maybe.
He'd come around and go, runaround, nah, two. Okay, so what was that you were saying?
Yeah, we think it could be the car. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it could be. Yeah.
You have to reject another one now. So we've got the glass tumbler, the scuba diving goggles, or the triangle. So What do you want to reject?
I think the scuba diving. What do you think, guys? Oh, yes. I don't think we were terribly competent. No. You go for that.
So that was find your own gear, go for a sail, and search in place of the fishy tail. Okay. So what's a place, as in not in the fish, the place, but as in geographical place, where there's a mermaid, famous mermaid? Any clues?
Well, sometimes you have them on the front of a ship, or is that a slightly different? A Saucy Nancy?
It's an actual
place. It's a place in Denmark.
Town.
Yes. Oh, yeah, Copenhagen.
That's right. Yes,
I've been there,
Copenhagen got the mermaid, which is the little statue, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
And yes, the prize is a 15-day holiday in Copenhagen.
Cruising, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what you've rejected. Frey.
Dear. Oh no. That would be very nice. Oh,
yes.
It is very nice in Copenhagen. I've been there.
I like the fact it's a 15-day holiday as well.
That's pretty good.
Quite a long break, really. But then I don't know how expensive Copenhagen was.
I think it's around Copenhagen and other parts of Scandinavia, so possibly. But Copenhagen ties in with a clue.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So there we go. So Copenhagen holiday has been rejected. Let me cross that one out. Okay. Right, we're still going, but you've got rid of the bin, so whatever is left is going to be good. So next on is Emlyn Hughes, isn't it? He's not a clue. No. He's not a prize.
No.
But Emlyn Hughes, who brings on a football.
Yes. And then there's a waffle about football.
There's about 5 minutes bollocks, nonsense chat about football, which we tuned out for, didn't we? Apparently, Emlyn Hughes is something to do with football. I only know him for A Question of Sport.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was an actual real football man.
Well, he had to be a sports personality of some kind to be on A Question of Sport, didn't he?
But I didn't realise he was actually that involved with football.
I knew he was vaguely
footballish.
Yeah.
He looks like one. Yeah, Emlyn Hughes apparently sidled up to Janice Long and whispered to her what at least one of the prizes was.
Yeah.
So she didn't choose it.
Yes.
But Emlyn Hughes' thing is football. We'll sail off to Europe to make it 3 up with the craft of a highway. What? With the craft of a highway, we could steer back the cup.
That is the clue.
It doesn't make. Oh, I see. Yes, I understand. So I read this back. Oh, this makes no sense, and I know what the answer is. To make it 3 up, with the craft of a highway, we could steer back the cup. Because I was thinking of Highway and Harry Seacombe, but that doesn't. And religion on Sunday nights, but this is before Harry Seacombe did Highway, isn't it? So yeah. But so any clues as to what that might be?
It could be a set of kitchen like cups and saucers, because there's mention of a cup. I think we're going very basic, aren't we? We're just jumping onto the first word we hear. Yes, well, I mean, it's about all we can understand.
Gigantic cup.
Yeah. Well, maybe a kitchen, a full set of dishes and kitchen utensils and a new kitchen even maybe.
Well, occasionally you do get sort of kitchen-y things, don't you? So you get sort of fitted kitchens and things, but yeah, okay. Anyway, you have to reject another one. So we have left the glass tumbler from Debbie Arnold, Chris Emmett's triangle, or Emlyn Hughes' football. Which of those do you want to get rid of?
I think we should get rid of the football, just in case it's somehow a football-related prize. Yeah, I don't blame you.
A year's supply of footballs. Okay, so we'll sail off to Europe to make it 3 up. I don't understand why that. Oh, I suppose it's 3 things, isn't it? All right, okay.
I think that is literally because
there are 3 things.
No, because
what?
they had won the European Cup or whatever nonsense it is 2 times.
Nonsense.
So they could win it again for the 3rd time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I think.
With the craft of a highway, we could steer back the cup. Well, what craft do you steer? And we're thinking ITV game shows here. We haven't quite yet got to Bullseye, have we? But it's that classic Bullseye prize, a speedboat. So you've rejected a speedboat, complete with a trailer to carry it on, and a cover to stop it getting wet.
Yes. So it is a boat. It's kind of designed to get wet.
It's bloody designed to get wet. Yeah. But I suppose if you had it in a trailer, driving it along a motorway, you'd want a cover for it if it pissed down. Otherwise, you'd get water inside your boat, wouldn't you?
So I'm sorry, Yeti Uncle John, you don't have a speedboat.
I think I could have quite liked a speedboat, but
we won't see Yeti Uncle John zooming up and down.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing. It would only end up in an accident.
Okay.
Charming. So he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
And the final item. So Dougie Brown, dressed as a pirate, comes on.
Yeah.
Now, how does he produce these?
It's all from his shirt, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, and somehow he magically produces his underwear, doesn't he?
Well, you say that. It's a pair of long johns.
Yeah. There's a pair of pirate long johns.
Which Ted Waters keeps coughing over, and I think he's just acting. Cause...
They're not stinky, are they?
Well, that's the implication, isn't it? So,
okay.
But yeah.
They're a pair of long johns, and they've got a symbol on them, haven't they? It's an anchor, isn't it? So the prize is, what's in a name if you but knew my old long johns might be a clue? So what's in a name if you but knew my old long johns might be a clue? So, and I repeat, there's an anchor on the front, but you've already rejected a speedboat, so it's not likely to be another boat.
Could it be his and her leisure wear for like the up and coming gentleman and lady, like on the regatta?
Leisure wear. Well, whatever you think it is, we have to reject 2 of the remaining 3 items. So we still have the glass tumbler that was brought on first, the triangle, or the pirate long johns. So what do you want to get rid of?
Well, I think that we should go for the triangle, because if that is a car, then maybe we can. You will be able to use it to upgrade your taxi. Uncle John, your taxi is looking a bit battered these days. Oh yes, it's true. Yes.
So you want to keep the triangle, do you?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay, so you're rejecting the glass tumbler and the pirate long johns.
Yeah.
Okay, so the pirate long johns. Let's go with those first, shall we, Lisa?
Okay.
So the pirate long johns. What's in the name if you but knew my old long johns might be a clue? Now, oh God, this is really clutching at straws, isn't it? The clue is in the anchor on the front.
And the name of the pirate.
And the pirate. Oh, that's true. Because he was Long John. Long John Silver.
And
silver.
The hallmark on silver is an anchor.
On some silver.
On some silver.
Each piece of silver made in different places has a different mark.
So you have rejected a sterling silver tea service worth £2,000 in 1978.
Yeah.
So what is it, Lisa? It's a teapot,
a coffee pot,
a pair of jugs,
or a jug, and possibly a sugar bowl.
Yeah.
It's difficult to tell because the angles.
And a tray to carry them on.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid, boys, you rejected some sterling silver tea service, so you can't have your tea from sterling silver anymore. I'm sorry about it.
We could have sold it and gone to Copenhagen. Well, that's a good.
I would point out that the sterling silver tea service is what Janice Long and Trevor actually ended up winning.
Yes.
And you said about selling it.
Yeah.
They actually took it home and sold it the very next day. They did exactly what you suggested. They took it home, sold it, and used it as a deposit on their house.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's what they used to buy their first house. So there you go. Right. The other thing you rejected was the glass tumbler.
Yeah.
Packed up on 3-star and how? Well, 3-star was a variety of petrol, wasn't it? But it can't be it could be the car, but there's more to it than that, because there's the line about the captain's in the doghouse now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yes.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. You can tell this is 1978, Paul, because 3-star is a type of brandy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? There is a dog which, if you were rescued by the dog, would have a barrel of brandy round its neck.
It basically says the dog that's associated with brandy.
Brand.
St. Bernard. Yeah.
It's a Bernard.
Yeah.
And the prize is a year's supply of brandy.
Mm-hmm.
And they bring on like 4 or 5 huge barrels of brandy.
Yeah.
And basically, Janice Long and Trevor are expected to get through that in a year.
Yeah.
I don't know how much brandy you drink, Paul, but Christ lasts me about 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was working up to that, Lisa.
Yeah, sorry.
The brandy was only part of the prize.
Yeah.
As you would also have won a St. Bernard dog.
Which comes on with...
You would have won a dog.
Mm-hmm.
A St. Bernard dog. He's worth £150, said Ted.
Yeah, and if you didn't want him, they would have sold him back to the breeder.
Yeah, and you could have taken the cat instead.
Yeah.
Oh.
But you'd have kept the brandy.
Yeah.
But is that the one that Emlyn Hughes tipped Janice Long off
I believe
about?
so. I believe he started up and went, don't pick that one, it's a dog.
Yeah. So there you go. So we're left with Chris Emmett's triangle. Although a prize she thought she'd found, did he give her the runaround? Paul, you zeroed in on it absolutely correctly. Because a runaround is a type of car, isn't it?
Yeah.
In this case, it's a Chevette. The new-ish Vauxhall Chevette.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a very nice colour, is it?
No, it's sort of beige.
Beige.
Yeah. Yellowy beige.
But yes, Uncle John, you've won a Vauxhall Chevette from 1978.
I'm not sure how much of an upgrade that is.
Yeah. Well,
believe me, it is. It's a grand upgrade. Yes.
So that's your taxi service.
Oh, well done, yes, Uncle John.
It's always a bit worrying when they bring the car in, because they drive it into the studio, and it's not very big, is it?
No.
And she stops it about less than a foot away from the audience and the contestants.
Yeah, I was going to say if the brakes had failed at that point.
Oh, you practically couldn't, because it's a new car.
Yeah, they'd have mown down half the audience. And if the audience has got an average age of about 86, I think they'd be fishing the bodies out.
They'd have snapped like twigs.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's what happened to them. Maybe that's the take of it. That's maybe why there are all these empty chairs, Lisa.
Okay.
Maybe they mowed down half the audience.
I mean, that's dark, but...
That's dark, but...
This first series has a habit of giving odd prizes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you also get, in a later episode...
do you want to give it away or no? I was going to say, in case we ever return...
Yeah, there's some odd
Lisa,
prizes
don't do spoilers for if we ever do.
Odd prizes coming up. There's one in episode 4 that, it just leaves you open mouth, doesn't it? Yeah.
But things like a St. Bernard dog are you go, what? What? Have I dreamt this? I mean, a year's supply of brandy is bad enough, isn't it?
Well, I can't drink that anyway because it doesn't do nothing to me. I'm a fizzy water man myself. Yes, we know. I the Uncle John. Yeah.
I've got a bottle of port that I haven't eaten opened from before Christmas, haven't I, Lisa?
Yes.
That's what in the bit of this chat which I've edited out, the man from Amazon arrived with a bottle of port. So.
There you go. You see.
Oh, did you have to show him your ID?
I don't so much now, but back in the pandemic, you did. Now they just ask for date. They can see that you look old and haggard, so they just like a date of a year of birth, isn't it?
Yeah. They're supposed to see your ID every time.
Yeah.
I've never ordered alcohol off the internet.
You've ordered me crisps, haven't you, Lisa?
Yes.
You can't get sausage and tomato crisps in the shops, can you?
No.
So, and I was feeling nostalgic for them, so you managed to find me some.
I still slightly sad we didn't win the trip to Copenhagen, but I guess I have been there. So.
But Yeti Uncle John can be doing what they call them donuts. He can be doing donuts in the car park with his Vauxhall Chevette, can't he?
Yeah, he might get up to 30 miles an hour. You never know.
Yeah.
Well done, Yeti Uncle John.
Thank you. I could do donuts whilst eating donuts. Oh yes, Yeti Uncle John. I think you need to cut back on those sugary treats. Oh, charming.
Yeah.
Now, I will point out it is from 1978. This car. So I think you need to get it well and truly serviced because I don't know in what state it's been left. Presumably it's been left out the back of Yorkshire Television since 1978, hasn't it? They didn't win it, did they?
No. But I suspect it goes back to the dealer.
Yeah.
At that point, I don't think Yorkshire Television keep it. They've probably got it on like approval or something.
You don't think their car park is full of abandoned prizes by the end of the season?
Like speedboats and
year supply of fish rotting.
Steve, I mean, it's things anyway, so.
But well done. I think you did quite well there. And Janice and Trevor certainly used their prize for.
It just shows you should not think about it too much and just hook onto one little phrase, and then you'll probably be right, or at least close.
Yes, but I mean, having now done this once or twice, writing down the clues, and as I said to you, Lisa, I read that back and thought, I don't even understand this, because it used to be a running joke that people didn't understand what the clues actually
meant. And these
meant.
are quite simple ones. The longer 3, 2, 1 goes on, the harder and more obscure the clues get.
Yeah.
I swear, by the end of it, the clues could mean anything, and it's just random what you get.
Yeah, and you think if Ted likes you, you get a decent prize.
He don't like you end up with a bin.
Yeah, if he takes against you, then...
You don't let him kiss you properly.
Yeah. Oh, does he like kissing the ladies?
He likes kissing the ladies, yeah.
All right. He has a good old lean in, doesn't he? Yeah.
So.
That's 3, 2, 1, episode 1, cruising.
And believe me, there are a hell of a lot more like this. But yeah, we can always return to it at another point. But,
yes. Well, at least we got rid of Dusty Bin, that's the main thing.
I think we did very well there. Yeah. I don't know what you do with the Dusty Bin if you won him, because
it's just a bin.
As I said, in these days, well, that's the thing. As a kid, I thought winning Dusty Bin would actually be quite good.
Yeah.
Especially when he's robotic.
But you don't get that Dusty Bin. All you get is steel bin. One of those sort of steel rubber bins.
Yeah. Because we've got a plastic round one. It was rolling around the garden the other day.
Yeah, when it was windy on Monday, it spent its time in various different parts of our quite a small garden. So
that's an old bin that we used to have where we used to live, and for some reason we brought it with us, didn't we?
Yeah, it's got a hole in it now, so it's not even fit for purpose.
So it's a bin with a hole at the bottom.
Yeah.
So what's the use of that?
Yeah. And obviously now you've got wheelie bins, you don't need that kind of bin anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Well, that's the thing. It's the old type of bin you need a burly man to lift up, wouldn't you? Do you know any burly men?
No.
You had a burly man come round the other day.
Wow.
He came and attended your pipes.
He did. He came with 500 sink.
You had a leak under the sink, didn't you? So a man came and I went for a walk because I'm scared of men. I went up to Greg's, didn't I?
Yes. Yeah.
Got myself a sandwich. I kept texting you, has he gone yet?
It's longer than we thought.
And then he had to get his blow lamp out.
Yeah, to put a bit of pipe in. So
you've got a new bit of piping.
Yes.
That's on you, Lisa. I could do with a new pipe being installed.
Don't look at me like that.
Dale's ears have got up. He's alarmed. Poor Dale.
Well, there you go. You've won the car. I think it's all downhill from this point.
That's okay. We'll be in the car. We can put the brakes on.
Yeah. Okay. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Cromitty. Thank you, Uncle John. My pleasure. I can't wait till it. I think I might get it resprayed, though. Did you say it wasn't a very nice colour?
It's a bit beige. I'll send you a photo of it later if you like. But I get it resprayed in slightly more flamboyant colours because you need it to attract passing trade, don't you?
Yes, you need to put the taxi company, the Kapow Taxis livery on it. So.
Yeah, you need to have your snazzy logo on the side.
Yeah.
Let's have another look at
the list of grumbles.
Yeah, I don't think we'll have much to say about the. Are you cross about the extinction of the dodo? I mean, I would have liked to have met one, but I mean, doesn't keep me awake at night.
No. I'm cross about the extinction of anything, really, especially because it's usually because of idiocy. I mean, it's like, was it that turtle that died out because it was so tasty? I mean, it does feel like ridiculous human crap that makes things die out. I mean, okay, yeah, we're not responsible for the dinosaurs. We can hold our hands up and say we did not do that, unless of course we blame Adric. In which case, yeah, that was human as well. So well done us. But generally speaking, I get annoyed. I think the thing that bothers me is, and I know it doesn't sit well sometimes with certain sectors of anybody's sort of listening audience. So I'm obviously a bit of a wet liberal softy, but I don't understand why people want to go out with a gun and just kill a thing. See, the thing that gets me is that this sounds a bit, but as a human being, when you hear about somebody, something like war, or even the murders, real life murders, or tragedies, or accidents, even everything that person was is gone. Everything that person, and it's a miracle, absolute miracle, that life exists at all. I mean, as they always say, the unlikeliness of any of us being here now today. When you look back at history, when you look back at the twinkle in your mum and dad's eye, or their grandparents' eye, the chances of you being here today are so remote that how does anybody dare take that away from some other human being? But then I actually extrapolate that, because it's the same for that ant or that bee or that, they are all here by some miracle of life happening in this cold, unfeeling universe where we actually sort of suspect that there may be no life out there at all sometimes, although that's probably doubtful. There is obviously going to be some sort of primordial soup bubbling away somewhere, but this sense that the only planet that we have proof that there's actually people or entities alive on, absolute categoric proof, is this one, and that seems so unlikely sometimes and so precious that anybody just going out and deciding that species has to end. I mean, it may have ended, the dodo may have ended by accident. They may not have known it was the last dodo. Indeed, they may not have got the last dodo. There may have, gender politics aside, there may have been a male and a female dodo, and they killed the male or they killed the female. Now, I know that some species are able to sort of cross gender lines to procreate even when there's no actual partner around, but that's very rare. I know it's actually been seen in crocodiles recently. I think it has, but it's kind of, it's so precious that actually, yeah, I do get slightly annoyed that, I mean, the dodo became the sort of poster child or the poster animal for extinction. Whereas, of course, as human beings, we have managed to bump off so many species, and every single one is a tragedy in itself.
I hope that wasp I had to kill earlier wasn't the last wasp.
I think there's a lot of people who would make exceptions for the wasp, unfortunately. But then again, you see, wasps do have their uses too in the great scheme of things, and that's, again, I mean, I'm not claiming perfection on this. I mean, it's not like I do eat meat, so I can't really quibble about that. But I do feel that sometimes we are, as human beings, sometimes we play a bit fast and loose with the life on this planet at our peril.
I don't think I'd eat meat if I had to kill it.
Well,
because I'm a hypocrite.
Well, I mean, I am. I mean, I must be. But even so, I kind of. No, I don't know. I don't know how you justify that. Really, I mean, part of me says, well, it would have happened anyway, which I know is not. It's a bit of a woolly argument, but I still feel that, at least with when there are large populations, we can we're not driving them to extinction. However, that doesn't mean that that really defends it. I can perfectly understand why people would go, well, you can't say what you've just said and then still be a meat eater. So now I get it. I do get it.
Well, one of the things on this list we've actually did earlier without realising it. We sort of did Keeping Up with the Joneses when we were talking about body hair and things like that, and changing them once. I mean, it's a bit more than just that. I mean, Keeping Up with the Joneses, I guess, includes things like cars and holidays and.
I am trying to learn not to give a damn what other people think, and I'm also trying I mean, let's face it, I'm not in a position to be worried about what car I drive and what clothes I wear. I'm not actually massively impressed with that stuff. What I've never understood is if we are in a situation, a finite situation in terms of environmentalism and everything like that. I don't really like being lectured about how can I put it? How I need to save the planet by somebody who feels the need to replace their phone every 6 months, because I feel that impact has more, is something that has a bit of hypocrisy in it as well. In the same way that I drive an old car. Now. Some people would say, well, that's greenhouse gases and all that stuff. But equally, I still maintain that the overall impact of a 10-year-old car is probably less than buying a new car every 3 years, because that's 3 cars that get scrapped in the time mine's been on the road. But I don't know. I don't really care. I mean, to be fair, around here, when it's not the wealthiest area in the world, so there's not really anybody to keep up with, if you see what I mean.
Do you know where that phrase comes from? I've just googled it to find out.
Go on.
It comes from a comic strip called Keeping Up the Joneses, which it was in the New York World newspaper. Right. It ran from 1913 to 1940.
Wow!
But I mean, whether it ever appeared in UK papers or otherwise, that's quite the fact that we use it over here shows how much influence it must have had. And,
it might have travelled because of the First World War, mightn't it? The American troops coming over and all that kind of thing. I don't know. Like I say, I find, I mean, the whole, again, I suspect this is an age thing and also a poverty thing, but I just find the whole idea of this capitalist dream, it bothers me more. The older I get, the more I think, oh, yeah, there's no point to it. I see the uber rich on things, and I just think, tossers.
Well, when I was a kid, I mean, my dad doesn't like jeans as an item of clothing, so we never even had jeans. So there was never even a matter of, I wanted to have the new designer jeans, because I wasn't even allowed jeans.
Workwear.
Yeah, exactly. It was workwear to my dad. So I didn't really own jeans until I went to university, when I was buying my own clothes. And even then, I would never have thought about buying designer jeans, Marks and Spencer's at the most.
Oh, I think my one of my indulgences was the £25 I would pay every term for a new pair of Levi's. I think it was. which I would wear until the knees were worn through, and as a student I would occasionally even sew patches on them. Nowadays, of course, there were the ripped, the ripped jeans. I think people are buying them pre-ripped now, that used to be my indulgence.
Well, it sort of come out again because I was saying to somebody how I associate ripped jeans with like Kylie and Jason and that sort of like 1988. They were very popular ripped jeans, and now they're back in fashion again, but it's not a new fashion.
Well, I'll tell you what has surprised me on that front is the higher waistband coming back, because that was what the lovely people that I was at college with, a lot of them wore very, very very nicely turned out, very nicely shaped, if you like, but very certainly attractive high waistbands on their jeans. And it's funny, I sort of get a sort of nostalgic pang when I see them, because for a while they seemed to drop down to hip level, didn't they? And they seem to have shot up again, and somehow that gives me the old nostalgic sort of yearnings sort of occasionally sort of bubble under from that.
What I object to is the fitted jean, i.e. the ones that are so skinny you can see what you had for dinner, because not many people look that good in jeans that are that tight. And I got to the stage where I can't buy jeans because I'm used to baggy jeans from the 90s jeans, and I can't. My legs aren't built for ones that that drain pipe, which is almost which is almost all you can get these days.
I think it is kind of interesting though that the sizes, if you like, the sizes clothes are made for, they do seem to assume that there is this kind of, again, I know we talked about this earlier, but there is a kind of uniform, perfect human that they have in mind. And of course, we're not, I mean, people have shorter legs, some people's arses are nearer the ground, it's just true. They may have the same waist as somebody a foot taller, but they need shorter, and it does feel that you've got to fit, unless you actually are going to pay a tailor to properly measure you and do all the bits and pieces to make something absolutely fit your peculiar and unusual shape that all of us are. We are all a peculiar, unusual shape. Somehow you've just got to get something off the rack at, I don't know, I'm trying to think, are there any high street stores there? Well, say Tesco. You go into Tesco, you grab a pair of Tesco jeans and you throw them on, and you just have to hope that, well, I can get a belt to make this work or something.
It did feel like certain shops that middle-aged people could buy clothes in had decided that they were just going to cater. Like Marks and Spencer seems very interested in young people. Somebody out there has to sell clothes to middle-aged people, or you're going to get a lot of naked middle-aged people, and no one wants to see that.
Well, I mean, I'm reluctant. I am reluctant to. I see a lot of people my age in the short trousers. I'm not a fan of the limbs on display as a rule. So I'm not a fan of the short trouser or even the short sleeve shirt, to be honest. Especially where you see a lot of gentlemen who are much older than me walking around in t-shirt and shorts, and part of me goes, I mean, let's face it, that's their choice and they want to do that. But I'm kind of thinking, do I have to look at it? You don't ask me whether I want to look at that.
I associate shorts with being a kid, and it was almost like you're in short trousers because you're a kid, and you used to fall over and you'd hurt your knees, and you would have preferred to have had trousers because you wouldn't have hurt your knees as much. In my head, shorts are...
Well, again, sadly, because I am an old curmudgeon and we are talking about moaning and grumpiness, that's also where I feel on the fancy dress scale. I feel fancy dress is a thing that 6-year-olds and under are fine with. And of course, do not get me started on the outdoor pyjama. Indoor clothes, outdoor clothes. People need to learn the difference.
I've got another one here, but I don't think we can talk too much about it. Although everyone has said that, we've come up with something. I like the idea of pet psychics, but I haven't encountered one. I mean, I've encountered a few strange situations on my show, but we've had seances involving pies, but not pet psychic. I haven't tried anything with Dealey recently.
Well, so are you talking about pet psychics or psychic pets?
I'm not sure. Either,
I'm just saying.
but...
Have your pets ever shown? Let's face it.
Well,
Andrew and Lisa were telling me that the theme tune to my show, their cats now know that's dinner time. So I suspect that maybe that might not be a psychic phenomenon. That's just observed, learned behaviour. But of course, there are some people who think their cats are psychic because they do. They leap off the thing just as the thing crashes. But of course, that's just instinct, I think. But I don't know. It's like pet therapists, and I think sometimes we anthropomorphize animals far more. We think, oh, he's thinking this and he's thinking that. And I think, actually, yeah, they're not really. They're basically working on, where's my food? Where am I going to sleep? This person needs to take me for a walk, or I need to go for a walk to relieve myself. There are very basic instincts going on here that we interpret in new and exciting ways. However, what would a pet psychic do? Is it to try and put you in touch with your late lamented?
I just talked to Dealey, and he tells me I don't need a psychic.
Oh, okay.
I know exactly what he's thinking because we talk.
Right. Yes, but have you got cats that have passed in the past?
Yes, I do have.
Yes. And would you go to a psychic to try and communicate? Well, of course, they're not going to talk back to you, are they? Because they're a cat. They're going to go meow.
Yeah, Dealey is just a different form. He's just a evolution
intelligent
of cat
life. Yes, a whole new.
I've never met one like him.
The Tomorrow Cats. What do
you think about pets wearing jumpers or hats or?
I think that people should ask the pet first whether they want to do it.
Sometimes.
I quite understand the sort of coat when it's raining. I get.
Yeah.
When people take them for a walk, because it stops. Because they get wet and it takes a lot to dry them and everything. I understand that, but sometimes I think those weird photographs that you see where they ram a tam o' shanter on a Scotty dog or something, that all seems a little bit suspect to me. I never think the animals look happy. That thing that no animals were harmed during the production of this film. I think some animals were seriously removed of their dignity when they agreed to this photo shoot.
What about? I'm going to run through them a bit quicker if we're running out of time. But
am I rattled on again? Oh, I am sorry.
Well, it's just there's so much to be said, but what about sausages in a can?
Sausages in a can. Now,
would you?
Interestingly, the sausages in a jar, for hot dogs, are actually they're an unusual flavour, but they have their appeal. Sausages in a can. I was a big fan of the baked beans and sausage in a tin when I was young. Yes. I feel that worked as a concept. Whether or not you're straightforward. One thing, when I went to college all those years, horrifyingly enough, if this goes out in September, it will be 40 years since I left home for the first time or in some ways the last time, to go to my art school. And it shocks me that it's 40 years. It's come as quite a shock. I've sort of got used to the idea of being over 30 years since I finished, but the fact that we'd suddenly reached 40 years since I started has actually blown my little mind. But when the first time we went away, my mother, bless her, well, my mum and dad at that stage, my dad obviously had come before I finished college, but that's a different story. But my mother said, right, we'll take you shopping, we'll get you some food. As a student, as a lot of parents do. And so we went to the supermarket and we bought a load of food that I could survive on if it all goes to pot, as it were. Not pot noodle, weirdly. But and one of the things she bought was a can of beef burgers. There were 4 beef burgers in a tin. And I remember I stared at this can for a long, long, long time. I may have kept it far longer than you know. I mean, I suspect if the bomb had dropped, these cans would have still been available. Now, you remember there was a pie in a tin, wasn't there? There was a Fray Bentos pie. They're actually quite nice, but the burgers in a can. Eventually, what happened was several months later, and for some reason, I think it was a bank holiday weekend, and I didn't go home, so I was stuck on campus with basically a 2-ring cooker at the end of the corridor, and nothing really in to eat. You know, I wasn't going to go to the restaurant, darling. You know, I was thinking, and I thought, well, I've got these tin of beef burgers. God, they were ghastly. Weirdly enough, though, I was never averse to the tinned meatball. In those days, I can't imagine I've eaten one in 30 years, but at the time I could tolerate the meatball in gravy. Not so much the meatball in tomato sauce, but the meatball in gravy was actually quite a pleasant thing. But the tinned burger was a terrible thing. So I would probably mentally equate the tinned sausage with that. But like I say, the old Heinz beans and sausage that was a bit of a staple for me at times.
I mean, the beans didn't. They seemed to come together quite nice. The sausages didn't taste like any other sausages like that.
No.
And the beans were transformed to a slightly different. They became something unique together. When they came together, it was a bit like Kylie and Jason or something.
Nitro and glycerin.
Yeah.
The heart to heart. When they met, it was sausage.
Yeah. What about being put on hold? This is definitely one I hate. When I ring up my doctor or something, and I also recently had to try and get tax back from when I finished work, and I was on the HRMC. Is that right? Or was it HC? Yeah. Anyway, on their
HMRC. Yes.
I was on for ages, like about 45 minutes, and it was the same 10 seconds.
45 minutes. Oh, blimey!
On a loop.
I'm not a huge fan of the hold music. No. I'm not. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of having to use the phone at all.
No.
And if I can, I will get my beloved to do that stuff. Although there are some things it becomes apparent that I have to do myself. The worst one for me, I think, is this new phenomenon, which basically says, you'll get every so often you'll get something that sounds like someone answering the phone, but then it's just another recorded message. Sometimes there's 3 different recorded messages that go round the cycle. So it's not like, so suddenly the phone goes and you're just about to go, hello, and they go, you can do this or you can do that, or if you cannot wait, you must. All the little messages they put through. The thing that started to creep in though is the one which says you are 27th in the queue. You and especially when you ring up and it's your doctor and they say you are number 1 in the queue, and you think, oh, thank God, and then it's still 15 minutes, and you think
what conversation is going on for 15 minutes?
I'm on the thing and I go, I need an appointment. They go, how will Tuesday do you? I go, that'll be fine, and that's pretty much it. We're off in 2.5 minutes, you know.
Yeah, I think they've gone and had a coffee break and kept the phone.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, occasionally you try and make an appointment, and it's the office hours, are say 8:30 to 5 or whatever, and you ring at 20 to 9, so it's 10 minutes into their office hours, and the first thing the message says is our office hours are, and you go, I'm ringing in those, and you're not there.
The one that really, I think this was the HRMC one, HRMC, that one, the tax one. I needed to get to the point where I was put in a queue, but it's, and also I've had it with the hospital where you ring up and then they give you a big long big long monologue. Did you know that you could go online? And I'm like, yes, because I've already tried that, and it didn't have any answers what I actually need. But you're having to listen. You have to listen to this message, and it can be like 5 minutes. One of the hospital ones, it goes, And then if you want to call this number, blah, 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 and it said really quickly.
And you haven't got a pen,
and so the first time you don't have a pen, second time it's still too quick. You only get 4 of the numbers.
Yeah.
And so you might have to listen to it 3 times to catch all the details to get a number.
And you'd think they should think that through.
Yeah, it's just like...
I'm going to give you half a minute to get a pencil, and then I'm going to read a number to you very slowly.
Slowly, yeah. And the other thing I had with the tax one was that it goes, please answer... I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh.
You've not been given a chance to say anything, and it's jumped to I don't know if it's the type of phone or... and then it kind of goes, I'm sorry, thank you for answering... You said what? I was like, please repeat that. And at no point have you uttered a single word because it's just jumped the stages.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it's hearing, but you're not even hearing the full. It makes you want to cry.
I know. It's just. I mean, again, my partner's parents, who are knocking on a bit, don't have the internet. They don't have broadband. So the thing that really gets their goat is, or you could go online and certainly a mum just sits there and goes, no, I can't. And she just has this conversation with these things where she says, well, I can't go online because we aren't online. So the thing that's, again, one of those, I've done a small rant about this online myself, but the thing that's bugging me now is as a BT customer, we've got the letter which says they're taking away landlines. I don't know if you've had one of those yet, but basically it's one of the sub clauses in it. It says, so if your power goes off, your phone won't work. And I'm kind of thinking, one of the scenarios that crossed my mind is that, because it says use your mobile. Well, if you're not, you necessarily got a mobile, or for some reason that it's not easy for you to use a mobile, you are basically cut off. If, for example, how can I put this? Supposing you happen to put a screwdriver through a power cable, blow all the lights in your house, and you're lying on the floor having just been electrocuted, how the hell are you supposed to ring for an ambulance?
I do tend to buy, when I travel these days, I do tend to buy digital tickets, but you're still in the sort of situation where you might put your phone down in a cafe or something, and it someone knocks it on the floor and smashes it, and you can't then get to the tickets, or you might lose your phone. Or you might, whereas in the way that you wouldn't drop you probably wouldn't drop a ticket; it would just be in your wallet. But for your phone, you're taking out for multiple things possibly. Yeah.
Well, I'm a late adapter when it comes to these new things. I accept that. I don't. I don't have, one of these things. How you sometimes see people and they just wave their phone at a thing and it pays. Your phone pay. I'm reluctant to have all that data because I just think someone walks off with my phone, they've got all that information. And, by the time I've rung up and said, I've managed to get my phone to work to actually tell somebody that someone's walked off with it, they've already basically cleaned out my account. But I'm absolutely reluctant to use self-service checkouts. I really, really don't like. And this is me, who I'm not mad keen on talking to strangers. But for some reason, I don't mind the checkout person. I don't mind engaging with that person because I feel they're doing a job. And, I find the self-service checkout is so flawed as a system. And yet I keep walking into supermarkets I've gone in for years and suddenly half the tills have disappeared or 3/4 of the tills have disappeared and been replaced with this self-service area, which I detest. But there you go. I don't know why. I just can't. I don't think it's even. I can use them if I have to, and I can follow the instructions. It's not that I can't use them. I just rather not use them because I seem, that thing where you suddenly feel you're a bit out of your depth, or things aren't going right, or you've bought something that's going to require a tag to be taken off, or some reason that it's not completely. You can't do it all yourself. There's always going to be some flaw in it, like you've put the bag in the wrong area. I don't really understand why in a world where we're, I know people say, oh, well, it saves money and everything like that, but you still need a person there because it goes wrong so often.
Well, same with the trains and
I mean, there's whole strikes going on, isn't there, about ticket offices, and I think you do need to keep ticket offices, but again, who listens to me? Oh, let's hopefully your audience do. There we go.
I think, there's the companies and there's the workers, and they both have their place. But nobody seems to mention the passengers that should be the most important of all of them, and that's what makes me cross. For both sides is that, excuse me, what about me? What about all the people who are travelling? That should be who you're thinking about. And I know that to a certain extent it will benefit if the tickets, if there's more people on trains to help us, and there's more. So I err towards definitely supporting the, but because it helps me too. Whereas it doesn't help me that some shareholder is getting lots of money out of it. And also, how do they think it looks to the passengers and people using the service if they're cutting things? How does that look like you're improving things?
Well, when are we going to get to the stage where it's all automated trains and buses and taxis and I feel that there's a catastrophe waiting to happen here. That you feel that you're the Cassandra. You feel that you're doing the foretelling here of some unmitigated disaster that is obvious to everybody except the people who want to save a few quid so they can give more money to their shareholders. Personally, I've never held any shares in anything, and I've never wanted to. Some people used to refer to me as a bit of a commie for that, and okay, they may be right. But the point is, I always felt that basically when I know that it's their job. I mean, the directors are responsible to the shareholders first and foremost, but that's the point. They're responsible to the shareholders, and so they're not responsible to the employees or the customers. And somehow that means that the customer and the employee get shafted every time they want to pay out a nicer dividend to people. And I think there's something flawed in that system that still, unfortunately, we are still buying into as a society and a culture.
I think we've run out of time. We've only done one page. We've only done some of one page, and I've skipped the majority of them. And I'm not going to. There are enough on the next page that I'm going to keep for another day. This is going to keep us going for years to come.
Oh, good. There we go. This is a bit of a specialist podcast. Martin whinges. Well, I mean, people think I do that on all my other podcasts, so what the hell.
Well, thank you very much. And,
always a pleasure, Paul.
We'll have a moan again soon.
Yes, sorry. I think I may have actually over-moaned in this one, but never mind. Thank you very much. You take care.
Thank you very much. Bye. Well, listeners, that's all we've got time for. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. It was a bit of a talky episode. Martin and I enjoyed having a bit of a grumble. As I said, we've got plenty of those in the can. We've still got plenty of music chats as well. This year has just flown by. It's just been a matter of getting things out. And I've kind of decided that although we've got some very dramatic episodes to come, I also need to put out a few episodes that are quite quick to edit, because I've really been struggling with getting them out, as it were. The episodes, I mean. What did you think I meant? Anyway, we've run out of time this time, but we have absolutely oodles of episodes in the can ready to release when I can get to them. So there'll be a few bits and pieces as usual after the end titles, but yes, do join us again soon, and take care. And thanks to Martin and to Toby and Lisa for their super important contributions to this episode, because without them there would have been no episode. Well, we would have had to have found something else. So yes, their presence was extremely important. Sorry, waffling again. Alright, bye bye for now. Take care. Bye bye.
I gotta go now. Bye. Gotta go. Bye.
goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Goodbye. Yes, goodbye.
Wow. Really? No kidding.
Thank you, darling. And you too. Bye-bye.
This show is part of the Pride 48 network. Find more shows over at pride48.com.
Oh dear. What's going on now? Oh, it's the Shy Life podcast. Let's go.
I have a voice. I have a voice.
You have a voice.
You have a voice. We have a voice.
We have a voice.
Unique voices in podcasting.
UnivazPods.net.
That is so cringe, oh my god.
You're a man of culture as well.
I tried to hail a taxi once in Swindon, and the man wouldn't pick me up. He said he was on a job, but I didn't see anyone in the back.
Invisible man.
But I distrusted him, so I thought that might be for other purposes.
I see. Mateus and I used a lot of taxis last week. I was only really being there for guidance purposes, so I didn't really have. It wasn't like it was sort of a holiday for me, but I wasn't like wanting to spend anything particularly other than food. So a couple of times when it was, or more than a couple of times when it was easy to get a taxi, we got taxis. One of the taxis we got, they were playing sort of, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's that that sort of jazz thing. I'm sure it's been a theme tune for something, but it was very cool. It almost felt like we were in a little club going home. It felt like we ought to be drinking cocktails in the back of the. I've never had a taxi where they've been playing sort of cool music.
Isn't there a really long one you can hire in Poole? There's this really long car that it's for like.
I think it's for hen parties.
For hen parties,
yeah.
Is it?
So it's like a long sort of limousine kind of thing.
How does it get round corners?
Very carefully, I would imagine.
Does it swivel in the middle?
No.
I can't see it getting into the multi-storey car park. It would never get round.
It needs to go into the multi-storey car park.
It would never get round the corner.
I mean, maybe it's one of them transformers. It sort of gets up on its legs and walks around the corners.
But yeah, if that car's coming towards me, I always feel a bit intimidated.
Okay.
Because I imagine there'd probably be scary ladies inside in various states of undress.
Okay. Right.
Or perhaps that's my.
I think that might be your imagination.
My imagination.
Yeah.
Never trust a car where you can't see in and they can see out. You never know what they're doing.
Yeah, holding on to their white wine spritzers. Mm-hmm. Is that a thing, Lisa?
Yeah.
A spritzer? See? Yeah. I know about modern drinks.
You work with drinks like that, can't you? You don't never order a drink you can't see through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no Guinness.
No, I mean, I know Paul likes a Guinness, but
I like a Guinness.
As an analytical chemist, I'm always scared there might be something dead at the bottom.
Mateus and I were drinking cocktails in the hotel, in the pub opposite the hotel, because they had a happy hour, virtually like constant happy hour. So I didn't have any Guinnesses last week. Just weird cocktails.
This is just the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Well, gotta tell you, I didn't expect that.
What the hell just happened on this show? I mean, seriously, reverse it, because I lost. What's going on? What happened?
Man, was that worth it or not? Oh my goodness, that was a darling little shoe. Whoa, I love that one. Great show, Paul. You know, that was a good shoe.
737.
beautifully done.
Oi, oi, that's your lot.
You can always call me.
Et voilà.